across the Swan River at Fremantle. But not just any yacht. The skirt shrouding its keel is a hint of its purpose. And that purpose is clear-cut. To keep the America's Cup in Australia up to the monumental battle that will be fought on the sparkling Indian Ocean off Fremantle in the summer of 1987. This is Kookaburra, the first new Australian 12-metre to be launched as the defence of the Cup gains momentum. The sleek aluminium hull, finished in gleaming gold and green, looks every inch a winner, and that's the aim of Task Force 87, to build and race the yacht that will win the America's Cup Series. No one underestimates the long and challenging road ahead, but with a yacht already up and running, Task Force 87 team members are tackling the task with confidence. A confidence backed by the results of extensive tank testing already carried out at the renowned Netherlands ship model base.
We have done a model of Australia too, so we know exactly, her weaknesses and strengths. And the idea was to, as our first boat, a benchmark design, come up with a boat equal to Australia 2, and if not better. And fortunately, the first boat that we're now building is quite an advancement on Australia 2, particularly in higher wind speeds, which we will encounter here in Perth. But it also hangs on to the lower speeds where Australia 2 did excel over what were considered the best 12 metres in the world in Newport. So we're happy with the design, and I'm most confident in it.
Kookaburra faces a long series of sea trials off Fremantle. Its first sparring partner, the Italian 12-metre Azura, a team backed by the Aga Khan and Italian industrialists. Data gained from the trials will be translated into computer software to extend the frontier of Task Force 87's 12-metre technology. The fight for the America's Cup is no longer just a sailing race, but a matter of technological and industrial pride, a fact underlined by the international attention focused on the official launching of Kookaburra. Invited guests and a huge crowd of interested spectators at the launching heard Task Force 87 Chairman Kevin Parry speak about the challenge ahead.
And hopefully, if we can help, or even more hopefully, be the successful defender and keep the Cup in Australia for at least another 4 years, I think we can help build on the marvellous thing that Alan Bond did in the 10 years that he put in bringing this Cup home to Australia. In naming the boat the Kookaburra, apart from somebody else had taken up the Kangaroo, we really were looking for an Australian identity, and we thought it was a challenge not only to the other people that we didn't have the last laugh on them, but we also thought it was a stimulus to our own people so that other people didn't laugh at them. So in one respect, it's a self-motivating name.
I'd like to welcome the Premier Brian Burke. Brian.
It's my very pleasant duty to be able to congratulate Kevin and his team on reaching today's point, and to wish Kookaburra Godspeed and safety to all those who sail upon her. It's also my very pleasant duty to produce these scissors and to ask Mrs. Helen Parry if she'd officially launch Kookaburra. Thank you very much.
For skipper and co-designer Ian Murray and his crew, long hours of sailing and testing. Sailing and testing again now lie ahead. But Ian, who's won world championships in 18-footers and netball, said it really has an edge. Kookaburra is on the right track.
Well, we believe that, yeah. It's up to us to go out and prove that. But that is what we believe, and we have good reasons for believing that.
Will you have the crew that can do the job, do you think?
I think that goes without saying. We certainly have more than enough people within our own ranks now that could sail this boat more than adequately, and we can only build from that. We have some very competent people with us, Derek Clark and David Powys from England, Toby Richardson and Peter Gilmore, myself, Derek Clark, Paul Westlake. We're really in quite good shape there.
With Kookaburra now ready for sail, Kevin Parry reflects on his decision to establish Task Force 86.
Frankly, there was a lot of apprehension about it. We had to actually build the boat ourselves. We had to put our own builders together, had to buy the equipment, we had to outfit the plans, order the material and build it. We've done the whole thing from scratch, but we've done it because Ian Murray was the key person who already had the experience and knowledge of the right people to get in. All the people that have been brought in have been told the same story. Results count. If for some reason you fall by the wayside, or if there's someone better, you have to step aside. Our goal is to get in there and be the successful defender of the Cup. No individual stands in the way of the team result.
And are you feeling more confident now you can see the boat there, see it floating in the water?
You've got the boat, you've got the sails, you've got the crew. At this stage I'm very confident of 2 out of 3. We're working on the other.
Kookaburra, you're laughing, flying over everyone. You're too fast to ever get caught. You're not afraid of the gun. Kookaburra, you're laughing, flying over everyone. You're too fast to ever get caught. You're not afraid of the gun.
Models and militaria from throughout history are the lure at the Henderson Park Hall in Adamstown. Organised jointly by the Newcastle Wargaming Club and the Newcastle Military Modelling Society, all door takings will go to the telethon. Visitors can see model tanks, ships, aircraft and figurines, but the star attractions are the original guns and swords and uniforms, some dating back to the Boer War. From war machines to street machines, the Newcastle and Our Town Band Clubs have combined to host a show at the Hilltop Plaza in Charlestown. 35 bands, hot rods and street machines from New South Wales and Victoria are on show tonight and tomorrow. Huge amounts of money have been spent on the machines. This van is the Australian champion and costs $35,000.
Over the past 3 or 4 days, we've taken looks at 4 of the 5 routes. That's because this route only began this morning from Killarney Vale on the central coast. All 5 routes are now honing in on Newcastle's International Sports Centre for this evening's finish. The Killarney Vale team were fortunate in having rather pleasant running weather, a little overcast and comfortable temperatures. The Killarney Vale team passes through Wyong on the first stage, on to Charmhaven and thence to Guanderley. Budget Rent-A-Car Company have donated their services with the escort vehicles. The route, which began from Gloucester last Friday, stayed the night at Dungog, and this morning the Dungog team set off bound for Maitland. The Dungog team is due to arrive in Maitland at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Swinging east to the Tomaree Peninsula, the Nelson Bay team were heading for Medowie, carrying the baton, which started from Gloucester last Friday, but yesterday came by surfboat across the passage. All 5 routes are doing it so well and keeping right on schedule for a spectacular entrance to the International Sports Centre at 6:45 this evening. Everything is in readiness at the IEFC now, with the gates due to open in just a few minutes' time. The marathon's arrival will be a fitting culmination to an afternoon which promises so much for everyone. and so much in aid for cancer.
Mr Simpson said his job was to consider and make findings and recommendations on a development application lodged by the Tomago Aluminium Company Proprietary Limited for development consent to carry out preparations for a solid waste disposal site for Uluru. After stating his terms of reference, Mr Simpson invited interested parties to join him on a tour of the plant and of the proposed dumping site 20 kilometres away on Uluru. Many concerned citizens from neighbouring countries, oyster farmers from Tomago, and parents from the local public schools joined the inspection party. Representatives of Tomago Aluminium were available to explain the waste treatment proposal in detail. People were taken to inspect the waste material, a fine sand-like substance which is presently being stored in sheds in the plant. Tomago Aluminium want to transport material in trucks to the dump site 3 or 4 times each year and seal it in specially prepared pits which are surrounded by clay. The company has already been experimenting with a pit filled with ordinary sand to make sure that the clay provides an adequate shield. Detailed tests have been made to detect leachate, the liquid residue that could possibly form, but so far none has been detected at the experimental pit. Although those on the tour were either enthusiastic supporters of the disposal plan from Tomago Aluminium or residents anxious about safety factors and possible pollution from nearby Bay, Mr Simpson said that today's outing was a fact-finding exercise and everyone would have the opportunity to ask questions when the hearing begins tomorrow in the council chambers.
If you remember your school days or you've ever been a teacher, this scene will be familiar to you. A staff party, a few beers, some music and some very funny goings-on. Us and Them is so funny that it played to packed houses in Sydney and was voted the Australian Play of the Year by critics. It was written by Ned Manning, an arts graduate of Newcastle University. Coincidentally, the cast, Antonella Franchini, Dimity Raptoff, Catherine Gray, David Berthold, Adam McCauley, Gary Fry and Lee Rice have all been university drama students at one time or another. The combination highlights the growth of theatre talent in Newcastle over recent years.
The show is a reflective piece. It rather like David Williamson, who manages to pick society out and portray it on stage in a way that no other playwright does in this country. Ned has captured a similar quality and manages to show us what it's like in a school.
One of the characteristics of this production is that all the actors are locally trained people. What do you think of the standard of all these Newcastle University products?
Well, I'm very pleased with the standard of the actors here. I mean, this question has been asked before, and I think that the cast are equal to the original cast in Sydney, if not better.
The Newcastle Road strategy, which is detailed in this brochure, is available from the Department of Main Road offices. It has 3 main objectives. Firstly, to provide effective links between the National Highway, which should be completed to Newcastle in the not-too-distant future, and the city's road network. Secondly, it calls for improvements in arterial routes between Newcastle and the surrounding areas. And thirdly, the eradication of local traffic problems. To many, it seems like the impossible dream, but the DMR Divisional Engineer, Mr Jim Bonifan, believes the objectives are achievable.
I think the study that the Minister commissioned showed that the works were possible of achievement in that time, but of course there are always troubles that can arise to delay any project. They can be set back, but let's say if everything goes according to schedule, it is an achievable plan.
What is the major
to be held in Newcastle. The first, 3 years ago, was set up similarly to this year's exhibition, where more than 120 modules demonstrate the latest in industrial engineering and mining products. Graham Milburn, one of the exhibition organisers, says it has been recognised as the most effective and extensive way of displaying products.
We decided that there was a need to stop all the individual exhibitions and put them all under the one roof, so to speak. It was too expensive, just every company having their own exhibition.
What range of products is on display?
Well, it's more of a trade exhibition in that there's not a lot for the general public, but there's everything from lighting, commercial and industrial equipment, mining equipment, a whole host of things, electrical.
How many people are you hoping will visit?
Well, the last exhibition in '82, we had about 4,000 or 5,000. We're hoping to outdo that this year.
The exhibition continues until 9 o'clock this evening and will open again tomorrow. The P&C Association of Paxton School turned out in force today to protest about the Department of Education's attempt to remove their school library. They say the building has been at the school for the past 7 years. And yesterday, this afternoon morning, the Department of Public Works arrived at the direction of the Education Department and cut off its electricity supply. Today, the building was unbolted. After the association protested, they were told by the Education Department the building would remain for the time being, until the matter could be discussed with school staff and the P&C. However, power has not been restored to the demountable and it remains unbolted. The president of the P&C, Mr. Torres, says he's concerned his association wasn't notified of plans to remove the building, which he says is necessary for the school.
We were given no warning at all until the Department of Public Works gentleman arrived yesterday and disconnected the electricity.
How important is the building to the school?
The building is a major part of the educational system of the children here at this school. It's a rather large library, of which contains a lot of the history of the area, and children utilise the library services with projects and on literally a daily basis.
Why do you think this problem has arisen?
I feel there's been a great lack of communication between the Education Department and the school and us, the P&C.
Are you hoping that the Education Department will reconsider?
I sincerely hope they will, because otherwise we're going to have $10,000 worth of books stored in a storeroom or a toilet block, a librarian employed by the Education Department for 4 hours every week with nowhere to work from.
The state government has thrown its support behind Singleton's bid for the Army's Combined School of Infantry and Artillery. In announcing his recommendation of Singleton to the federal government, Mr Rand suggested that the boundaries of the Army camp should extend beyond those proposed by Singleton Shire Council. Premier Rand wants the base to extend into the Pacolban State Forest, but the No Base Expansion Group at Wollombi met yesterday to express its concern at the proposal.
The problem is not just restricted to land acquisition, which is what has been put out in the media and by Singleton Council. The problem is all the other effects that can come to the area. Noise in particular, which is already a problem. It's affecting people both in Singleton and in Cessnock, as well as the local Broke area, which is where they have a lot of noise problems. Any increase is just going to increase the frequency and loudness of that noise.
Australian play Us or Them was an outstanding success in Sydney last year, having 3 sell-out seasons and being named by a couple of critics as the best new play of 1984. Hunter Valley Theatre Company is hoping that Us or Them will spearhead a revival in interest in the company's activities, and Artistic Director Brent McGregor outlined the plans for the rest of this year. Yeah.
Well, the plans are looking good, particularly after that opening. I mean, Us or Them, a tremendous opening tonight, tremendous response. And after that, we have our next play in the series of landmarks of Australian theatre, and that's The One Day of the Year by Alan Seymour, with a specially written version. He's been rewriting it, and we've got some special bits in it. After that, we change pace and we have a light American comedy, same time next year, with Vic Hawkins and Jeannie Drynan. It's a lovely two-hander. And then after that, the big one of the year in a way, we've got Helen Moore starring in Private Lives with Nick Enright and Jonathan Biggins coming back to work with the company. And Brian Nicholas will be designing that one, so that's going to be a tremendous production.
It sounds very exciting, Brent. You had a rather disappointing last year with audiences. Are you hoping that this program will bring them back into the theatre?
I certainly am, and I think it will. I know it will, because there's a lot more diversity in this year's program. I mean, we work from Australian players through American comedies to Noel Coward, so there's a lot more diversity in that whole season.